Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Samuel Senyonjo. Welcome to this program, Know the Law. It's a pleasure to have you on this platform as we are going through the course of law. I'm so grateful for we already have some students. Some want to offer laws and they are following and they are making notes. This morning, I'm going to talk about the three arms of government. Last time, you talked about interpretation, that you wanted that this program may be interpreted so that we may put it in our local language. So the resolution is that we shall have this program in Luganda hereafter. Like when we are done with English, we shall have it. Because interpretation is a bit a challenge with the law council. They don't want to interpret the law in Luganda, like interpreting someone is speaking English, another one is putting the same in Luganda. So what we are going to do, hereafter we shall have to put the same course units, we are going to put them in our local language, and some members shall have the benefit of studying the law. Today I'm going to talk about something very important, and that is the three arms of government. It is very crucial for you to know this. I've had many persons talking, their members of parliament, that see our road, the same is not constructed, look at this and that, he has done nothing. So today we are going to discuss the three arms of government, and that is number one, the executive, the legislature, and number three, the judiciary. You are going to understand their roles, their functions, their appointment. You're going to understand all that through this program. Invite a friend. I continue to encourage you to tell about your friends, those who want to offer law, because you are going to be teaching the whole syllabus of the law, that is from first year to fourth year. Tell about a friend. Those who are in first year, probably they are going to benefit from coming week, because coming week we are going to be tackling about what we call contract, the law of contract. We all enter into contracts. So we enter into contracts to buy cars, we enter into contracts for construction, someone to construct your house. That is a contract. So coming week we're going to be tackling on contract. With contract, lesson number 1. Introduction to law. Introduction to law. I've been introducing law, and this is the 4th episode. Now today I'm handling the three arms of government. If I may go slow, we have 3 of them. Number 1, we have the executive. Number 2, we have the legislature. And number 3, we have the judiciary. The executive, the legislature, and number 3, the judiciary. Well, the 3 arms of government gets their power. The power is emanated from the people of Uganda, whether the executive, whether the legislature, and the judiciary. They get their power from the people. And all the 3 arms of government are provided for in our constitution, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. I urge you to get the constitution. You can have the soft copy of the constitution. You go in, whether you use Chrome or Google, you put 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. They are going to avail the same. Those who can inbox me, I can avail the same to you. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and probably other laws. Of course, I have many laws. I have all the acts of parliament. Last time we were talking about the acts of parliament. So if you are interested in studying the law, if you are interested in knowing the law, you can inbox and I can avail the same to you. Law is good. You just need to know about the law. If you don't know, actually, if you went to police and you told them, hey, let me call my lawyer, they are going to think twice. Why? Because they take advantage of people who do not know the law. Even if you offered which subject, even if you are educated or not, you need to know about the law. You need to get to know about the law so that they may not take advantage of you, of your ignorance. So I encourage you to know the law. You are going to be special. All right. The executive. I'm going to discuss the three. If you have a question, please. We shall be answering at the end of this episode. We have the executive. Actually in that order, they are in that order: executive, legislature, and number 3, the judiciary. The executive takes precedence. The same is followed by the legislature, and number 3, the judiciary. So the executive is the first arm of the government. The executive is being led by the president. The president is the leader of the executive, is the fountain of honor, is the commander-in-chief of the UPDF. He leads the government and he leads the state. The president is the first nationality, is the first citizen, is the first person of the country. If anything happens, it is the president who is liable first. So he leads the executive, is the fountain of honor of Uganda, and he leads the executive. In the executive, we have other persons like the vice president is the second in command, if I may use that army language, is the second in command. This is the order. The president takes precedence, followed by the vice president. Number 3, the speaker of the parliament, and number 4, the chief judge. So now, the first 2 persons who take precedent, that is the president and the vice president, are from the first arm of the government, and that is the executive. What is the role of the executive? The role of the executive is to come up with policies and implement the same. And number 2, to make sure that the laws that are made by the parliament are being followed. So they do enforce the law. They are the policy makers. If you have your constitution, it is chapter 7 of the constitution. Chapter 7 of the constitution. Last time I was talking about the constitution. So chapter 7 of the constitution, that is the executive. If you have your constitution, it is chapter 7 and it is on page 83, though the constitution was amended. So the executive is the first arm of the government, being led by the president, who is voted by you people, and is supposed to lead the country after 5 years. After 5 years, the president is supposed to be voted. Now, after him being voted, is supposed to choose among the cabinet ministers or the members of parliament, is supposed to choose the vice president of the country. In any case, the president is not around. In any case, the president is indisposed. We use the term indisposed in law, but it means when he's sick. He can no longer perform the duties of the president. The vice president is supposed to take up. Don't ask me whether second does the same. Please don't. But the vice president is supposed to take over or to take on the seat in case the president is not in Uganda. And if the president is going outside, he is supposed to inform the vice president, the speaker, and the chief judge. So the executive makes policies. Take this. The executive makes policies and implements them. Number 2, it makes sure that the laws that are made by the parliament are being abided by. So they enforce the law. The executive is led by the president. That is very clear. The executive must have what we call cabinet ministers. Cabinet ministers, these are from the members of parliament that we send. So from them they get what we call cabinet ministers. So cabinet ministers, they have state ministers for state. They are there. They are like more functional. I mean ceremonial. Another thing that the executive has, it has the office of the Attorney General. The office of the Attorney General is the office that is responsible to represent the government of Uganda. Like, for example, if there is any case for rights, the rights of the people have been infringed with, it is the Attorney General where you're supposed to go. It is the office of the Attorney General. The Attorney General is responsible for all legal matters that are brought against the state. So, if I may put it in a simple term, Attorney General is the lawyer of the state, is the counsel of the state. That is the office of the Attorney General. They have another office, the office of the DPP. If you are writing, President, Vice President, Cabinet Ministers, and we have other offices in the executive. That is number one, Attorney General. Attorney General is like the lawyer of the state. If your rights have been infringed with, you are going to go to the Attorney General, against the Attorney General, because he represents our country as the lawyer of the country. If any institution that is within the government, you have any case against any institution against the government, you cannot sue them. You cannot sue, say, police. No, you cannot. Because they cannot sue you, you can't sue them. So what do? You sue the Attorney General. If UPDF officer does anything wrong against you, you're not going to sue UPDF. No. You're going to sue Attorney General. Why? Because the law is the lawyer of the state. So if you have any right that has been infringed with, you report, you say like, I'm Samuel Senyonjo versus Attorney General of Uganda. So it's the one who is going to represent the government. We have another office under the executive, the office of the DPP. You've heard about that. I'm sorry, so very sorry, other lawyers, you like, this guy is wasting time. Those are simple things, but we want to get it from the roots. Some people are not familiar with the Constitution and all that, so you have to get it from the roots. So be patient with us, my learning friends. The office of the DPP is Director of Public Prosecution. If any person in the community does anything wrong, say rape, defilement, prostitution, and all that, murder, housebreaking, it is the DPP that has the mandate to take up the case. So the DPP is going to report you to courts of law. As I said in the last episode, that you do not have, okay, you may, private persons may bring cases, criminal cases, but it is incumbent, I don't know about that word, it is incumbent about the DPP, Director of Public Prosecution, to bring the case. That office is in the arm of government called executive. The executive is responsible for many things. The police is under executive. The police of the Republic of Uganda is under the executive. The UPDF is under executive. And that is why the President, His Excellency Museveni, is the Commander-in-Chief of UPDF. So UPDF is under the executive. That is the executive. Now, I've talked about the establishment. I've talked about the functions. The main function is to make policies and implement the same. Another major function is to make sure that the laws that are made by the parliament are abided by the citizens and the government itself. So they implement the law, and that is why you have law enforcing agents like police, like a prison. They are all under the executive. Qualifications of the president. Who is supposed to be the president of Uganda? If you have your senior 6, you can become a president of the Republic of Uganda. There is this article I'm going to read, the one that was amended, the Tojikwatako article. Let me read that article. That was a qualification too. It is Article 102B. Let me read this. Qualifications of the president. A person is not qualified for election as president unless that person is a citizen of Uganda by birth, not less than 35 years, and not more than 75 years. And number C, a person qualified to be a member of parliament. So this article 102B was amended. The president was not supposed to go beyond 75 years. Not below 35 years and not above 75 years. So that is the article that was amended. If you heard of the Tojikwatako bill, we are meaning Article 102B. Now, the president can go beyond 75 years. As long as he's still alive, they can push and push and push. So that was a qualification. And there is another article I want to remind you. It was Article 105. The same was also amended. Article 105, it's about it was amended. A person elected president under this constitution shall, subject to clause 3 of this article, hold office for a term of 5 years. So this article 105 was amended, and now it is open. The president had to run for only two terms. So Article 105 and Article 102 of the Constitution, if you have your Constitution, that article was amended, and now it is free. You can rule beyond 5 terms, beyond 2 terms, and 2, the president can go beyond 75 years. So that article was amended. That is the Tojikwatako article. So the qualifications of the president are, he has to be a Ugandan by birth. We shall study what we call constitutional law, and we shall lay down the types of citizenship. One of them is by birth. So the president of Uganda must be by birth, citizen by birth. You must have been born here in Uganda. And number 2, they must have the qualifications like those of member of parliament. Member of parliament, what are the qualifications? They have to be at least, they must have advanced level certificate, that is A level. So if you are there, senior 6 leaver, the presidential, you can contest actually in the forthcoming presidential elections, because you do qualify as long as you have 35 years of age. All right, that is about the qualifications. And now, qualifications, the privileges. Let me talk about the privileges or immunities. The president is immune from any civil or criminal case litigations. You cannot take the president of the Republic of Uganda, you cannot take them for criminal litigations. They are immune. You cannot take them to courts of law for any criminal matters, not until they leave the office. So they are immune from that. They have a lot of powers. They are immune from that. Another thing about the president, they have what we call prerogative. It is the president who leads that. The prerogative of mercy. If the case has been brought against you, a criminal case, and you've been sentenced to death, the president can say, no, please, I've pardoned the same. He has those powers. So that is about the executive. It has a lot, but we shall study what we call constitutional law. We shall study the whole constitution, how we interpret the same, how the same came into being, what are the rights entailed therein. We shall be studying in depth about the constitution. But that is, I don't know the qualifications, I've talked about them. So those are some of the things you need to know. So if you need anything to be implemented, the roads to be constructed, that is the executive. It is not the member of parliament. No, it is the executive. It is the executive. The president can only leave power if maybe he has run insane, he can no longer perform. Then even the parliament has that mandate. They can vote against the president if you people are in agreement with the same. They can vote against the president, the vote of no confidence, and the president is taken out of the office. The major way is through election, because in Uganda they don't resign, though it is in the constitution that still they can resign from the office of presidency, but that is impossible in African setting, not here in African setting. So they can only be voted against, and we bring in another president. Maybe and death, health, mental issues, they have run insane, they can no longer perform, then they can leave the office of the presidency. Let me leave that aside. That is the first one. Another one is the legislature. The legislature is the second arm of government. It is the second one. Yes, as I noted earlier on, the powers of the legislature are gotten from the people of Uganda. Because the constitution is the supreme law of Uganda, and we are the one who give them the mandate to represent us, so the legislature gets its powers from the people. The powers of the legislature emanates from the people of Uganda, you and me. Now, the legislature is led by the speaker. By the speaker. Speaker is the one who leads the legislature. Of course, they must be members of parliament. And as I noted earlier on, member of parliament must be having at least A-level certificate. Yes, they must be members of parliament, and it is the parliament, the members of parliament, who votes the speaker. The same, the voting is presided over. The vote is presided over by the chief judge. So the chief judge presides over the voting of the speaker. And the speaker presides over the voting of the vice speaker, the Jacob Olanya. The parliament has majorly 2 or 3 functions. Number 1, to make laws. That is their main function. It is supposed to make the laws. Number 2, they can delegate to other institutions to make laws, like the council, those councils, KCCA council, Wakiso, they can delegate the same. And number 3, they have to uphold the constitution for good governance, for order and economic development of Uganda. So the main function of the parliament is to make the laws. So these things of telling the members of parliament that the roads are not constructed, it is not the mandate of the parliament to construct roads. No. That is for the executive. So the members of parliament are there to make laws. And the implementer of the laws is the executive. So that is the technique. So you, because at least you are not ignorant of that now, never tell the members of parliament that our road is not constructed, because it is not their mandate. For them, they are supposed to make the laws. And that is why, I don't know, the teachers we send in parliament and the comedians, I don't know, who do not know even about the law. You people, if you watch the Parliament of Kenya and that you compare the Parliament of Kenya with the one of Uganda, you're going to be amazed. We are having comedians, we are having musicians. They do not understand anything about the law. But the main reason, the function of the Parliament is to make the laws, to govern you people. And now, I think we should think twice before we send those persons in the Parliament. Not these things of it. I also want to eat. I also want to eat. No. I am going to make laws. I'm going to construct laws for you. Those are total lies. It is the executive that has the mandate to do all that. So the legislature is the second arm of government, and it takes the precedence after the executive. Now, let me talk about the establishment. I've talked about the establishment. It is established under our constitution. It is the constitution that establishes the parliament. The privileges of the parliament. If the parliament are in the session, like, yes, in the session of the parliament, you cannot bring any case against them, even if they talk any ill things against the person of the president. They are immune. Even if they talk what, they are immune. And that is why they can talk all they want, because they are immune. If they are in the session of the parliament, inside the session of the parliament, they can talk all they want, whether on security, whether on what. Even if they ill talk against the president cannot take them to courts of law. Why? Because they are immune. Another thing, the qualifications. I've already talked about the qualifications of the member of parliament. If you are a senior 6, if you are in seniors, if you have that certificate, you can run for that one, the post of the member of parliament, because you have the qualifications. And of course, you have to be a Ugandan. You have to be a Ugandan in order to become a member of parliament. Maybe something I can mention about the member of parliament. The member of parliament are supposed to check on the executive. If the executive goes wrong, it is the parliament or the legislature that is supposed to check on it. We call it in law check and balance. They are supposed to check on them. They are supposed to check on the taxpayers' money, how the taxpayers' money is being used. And that is why you are seeing them, they are coming up on many issues. On many issues they are coming up because they are supposed to check on them. The brutality of the APDF, the brutality of police is being checked by the members of parliament. They are supposed to. So the executive must not just bring in their policies. No, it is the parliament to check on them. That will this policy really work or not? So the members of parliament are supposed to check on that. Will it work? We call it checks and balances. So the executive is not supposed to do all they wish. No, it is they are the member of parliament to check on them. That is also their work. Members of Parliament, you people who take them to Parliament can bring them out of Parliament. If in your presumption you think that they can no longer deliver, you can vote that they come out of Parliament. So, people of Uganda, as you choose the members of Parliament, as you vote for members of Parliament, vote those persons who are going to help you, because they are not going to construct laws. No, that's a lie. The third arm of government is the judiciary, where I'm part of. The judiciary is the third arm of government. Even in that precedence, it takes the third precedence. So the judiciary is led by what we call the Chief Justice. Chief Justice of Uganda. The Chief Justice of Uganda, let me talk about the qualifications of the Chief Justice of Uganda. He or she must at least have practiced law for 20 years, whether as a justice or as a lawyer, counsel. If they have not practiced for 20 years, they cannot become Chief Justices. So, that means that in order for one to become a Chief Justice, at least they must be 50 years and above, because in Uganda, you are going to go out of university at 25 if you are lucky enough, but law takes 5 years. After those 5 years, you are going to struggle maybe to get the practicing certificate and all that. Those 3 years are gone. You are around 28 or 30. So you practice for 20 years. That's around 50 years. So in order for someone to become the Chief Justice of Uganda, at least they must be 50 years and above. So, this is the order of the judiciary. We have, 1, the Supreme Court. It takes precedence. It is followed by the Court of Appeal. It is followed by High Court. From High Court, we have what we call Chief Magistrate Courts. Let me repeat this. This is the hierarchy. 1, Supreme Court. 2, Court of Appeal, High Court. And number 4, Chief Magistrate Courts. So Supreme Court, that is the highest court of the country, the highest appellate court of the country. These 3 courts, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, and the High Court, we call them courts of judicature. Courts of judicature, the 3 courts. And their decisions are binding. The decision of the Supreme Court binds the Court of Appeal. The decision of the Court of Appeal binds the High Court. The decision of the High Court binds the Chief Magistrate Courts. So, the Chief Magistrate Court has 3. It has 1, that Chief Magistrate. It takes precedence over Magistrate Grade 2, and it takes over Magistrate Grade 1, and then Magistrate Grade 2. The Magistrate Grade 2 is lower than Magistrate Grade 1, and Magistrate Grade 1 is lower than Chief Magistrate. So now that is the hierarchy. From Supreme Court to Court of Appeal to High Court to Chief Magistrate. From Chief Magistrate, you go to Grade 2 within the Chief Magistrate. From Grade 2, you go to, from Chief Magistrate, you go to Grade 1. From Grade 1, you go to Grade 2. And that is the court system, basically. But we have other courts like family courts, Qadi courts for Muslims. We have court martial for UPDF, general court martial, that is for UPDF. We have other courts. Those, we call them special courts or other courts. But take this, Supreme Court, from Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, from Court of Appeal, High Court, from High Court, Chief Magistrate, from Chief Magistrate, Magistrate Grade 1, from Magistrate Grade 1, Magistrate Grade 2. All of them have qualifications, but in Supreme Court you must have practiced for 20 years. Court of Appeal, you must have practiced for 15 years, and High Court, you must have practiced for 10 years. So those are the courts. The High Court of Uganda can entertain any case from any geographical area of the country. If you have any case, it can entertain any case, whether criminal or civil. And actually we call it it has original jurisdiction in all cases. It has original jurisdiction in all cases. There are some cases you cannot take to Chief Magistrate. Most of those criminal cases, like robbery, murder, rape, they cannot be entertained in the Chief Magistrate. It is beyond them. So where do you take them? You take them to the High Court. And there is this special case of the president's elections. If there arise any presidential election case, it is taken straight to the Supreme Court. It has original jurisdiction in matters concerning elections of the president. And for you members of parliament, any case is supposed to be taken to the High Court. So that is the court system in Uganda. If you have anything, those are the courts. Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, High Court, Chief Magistrate, Magistrate Grade 1, and number 6, Magistrate Grade 2. If you have these minor cases, 20 million below, 50 million below, you go to Chief Magistrate. 50 million below, the case is within the jurisdiction. That is where you take the case. What have I not talked about? I've talked about the qualifications. I don't know whether anyone has any question, but that is about the three arms of government. So never go to your member of parliament. No, that is supposed to be for the president. For the executive. Now, what is the main role of the judiciary? The main role of the judiciary is to interpret the law. Doesn't go beyond that. They interpret the law, they give what we call remedies. Remedies is like a relief. It's like a relief, a remedy. So you go to courts of law to interpret the law. If anything has gone wrong in the parliament or in the executive, you run to courts of law for justice. The courts of law cannot bring cases for themselves. It's the people of Uganda to bring the cases to courts of law. So, someone has asked a wonderful question. Yes, I'm winding up, so please, if you have any question, please go on. So if it is not the court to take the case to court, no. It is us, the Ugandans, to take the cases to courts. All right. So, as I'm still on the court system, Mr. Tunga has asked a wonderful question. What of constitutional court? Now, if you have your constitution, Mr. Tunga, you are going to look at Article 137. The constitutional court is an appellate court. It is court of appeal. So, if you bring anything concerning the interpretation of the constitution, we are going to use the constitutional court to interpret it. So it is the Court of Appeal sitting as a constitutional court. In case you bring anything pertaining the interpretation of the 1995 Constitution, if you bring any case challenging the acts of Parliament, but it concerns interpretation of this Constitution, you are going to go to Court of Appeal. But that Court of Appeal is not going to sit as Court of Appeal. No, it is going to sit as a constitutional court. It is the only court with the mandate to interpret the Constitution. You don't go to High Court. And if any appeal arises, then you go to Supreme Court. But you have to go to Constitutional Court. It is called a Constitutional Court because when you bring such a case, it interprets the Constitution. So it was reserved for that. And you're going to read Article 137. So that is the relationship. That is the relationship between the executive, between the Court of Appeal, and that is the relationship between the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. The executive is led by the president, the legislature is led by the speaker, and the judiciary is led by the CJ, Chief Justice. If there are no other questions, I would wish to stop here, and probably tomorrow we shall be beginning on contract. You need to know about the contract. It is so interesting. We go into contracts, we enter into contracts. You need to know about what is a contract. There are many things therein. You're going to know about the offer. What is an offer? What is a constellation? Those terms. So, when do you need to write a contract? When don't you need to write it? It is very interesting, and it is the thing we do every day. We enter into contracts with person, whether it is written or not written. We enter into contracts every day. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you. I'm Samuel Senyonjo. Tomorrow at 11, please tune in. Goodbye.